Hello, this is Winston Bennett. It is August the 15th. Days are flying by, man, just as quickly as they want to. Hey, I want to take a moment to just talk about finances. Finances is something that can be a positive or a negative, particularly when it comes to relationships. One of the things that's probably the highest percentage in causing a marriage to fail is the lack of talking about finances. Now, I know you have a couple of different people, Dave Ramsey being one that's heavy into finance. His whole genre is about finance. Susie Orman is about finance and retirement. So there's a lot of them. But the perspective I want to come to you with is you've got to be able to come together in a relationship and talk about finances as to who's going to take care of the finances. In my house, my wife takes care of the finances. The only thing that I ask her to do is to make sure and keep me aware, because I don't want to be surprised by any unforeseen debts that come down the pike, credit card debt, debts that I didn't know about. Make me aware of them so that if we go in and apply for a car and they go down through our credit file, that I'm not caught off guard with any debts that's on there. You know what I'm saying? So if you're taking care of the finances, if you're the man or if you're the wife, make sure you keep your mate aware of what those finances are. To me, there ought to be a time when you guys come together and just review the finances, whether that's monthly, weekly, but you should come together so that no one's taken unawares. This is just like owning a company. Anytime you have a company, you usually have what's called a CFO. That's your chief financial officer. And as CFO, there's times, if not quarterly, that you get together with your CFO and go over the budget. Okay, how much revenue is coming in? How much is going out? What's the bills that we got to pay? What do we have in our reserve account as profit that we can carry over to the next quarter? All that has to be gone over when you have a relationship. Now, if you're single, then you already know what the deal is. You know what your gas is, what your light is, how much the car note's going to be, how much the insurance is going to be, how much you got to pay for your apartment, utilities with the apartment, or if you got a mortgage, how much that's going to be, plus your insurance and taxes, your groceries. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot to this life. Life is more than just a party and just going out, listening to music, having a good time. No, life is a responsibility. You know what I'm saying? We all are sitting in rented seats. One day that seat is going to be vacant, meaning you're going to pass off the earth. But while you here, there is taxes to be paid. There's insurance to be paid. When you go to work and take on the responsibility that, hey, I got to get up and go to work. I got bills to pay. And if I don't have bills to pay, I've got goals and dreams that I got to pay them and play them forward. So I've got to have the finances to make those things come to fruition. You know what I'm saying? When I talk about finances, I'm thinking about my mother and father who have both passed away and how they ran their finances. Usually my mother and father will get together on a weekly basis, usually on Friday when my father would get paid, but sometimes it would become a radical experience when my mother and father came together to talk about the finances, because while my mother would go line by line on what is owed, what they need to pay off, it seemed like my father's paycheck will always come short of what the bills were. Or if it didn't come short, it would be so tight that he didn't have a whole lot left over. Now, I will say this, an asterisk by my father, he would always cry broke and then have a 50 or 100 or so, folded up in his billfold. You know what I'm saying? His McDonald's money, his Burger King money, he would call it. You know what I'm saying? One of his number one phrases was, you can't get blood out of a turnip. When someone asks him for some money or something like that, you can't get blood out of a turnip. He was always crying broke, yet he had 50s and 100s folded up in his wallet. You know what I'm saying? So let's get back to this financial, I would like to call it financial peace, but that's Dave Ramsey's deal right there. We're going to get this financial albatross off our neck. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's one of the things I've done throughout my life. Number one, me and my wife has done. We've always paid tithes on our money because we're Christians, because we're believers. No matter how much money came in to the house, 10% of that gross was going to pay tithes at whatever church we attended. Now, we lived all over. So when I was living in Boston, Pastor Gwendolyn Weeks was the church that we went to. So we would pay tithes to that church. When I was playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers, I was going to Pastor Stanley Halton's church part of the time. We pay tithes there. I would go to Pastor Parker's church. We pay tithes there. Why? Because we believe in Scripture. We believe that 10% is God's. That's not mine. If I'm to keep that 10%, I believe I will be cursed, my wife and I. So we immediately take that right off the top. It's kind of like the IRS. The IRS takes their money right off the top. When you go out there and work, and you don't own your own business, you're working for 50% money, is what I call it. What do you mean, Winston, 50% money? Well, taxes is going to be, may not be quite 50%, you know what I'm saying? But time you pay 6% state tax in Kentucky, time you pay your other taxes federally, while it may not be 50 cents, that's just a great number to go ahead and plug in and just put 50% away. That's going in taxes. They're going to take that off the top anyway. They're going to take their money off the top. And then around April 15th, you're going to pay the remainder. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about this financial albatross that we gonna yank off our neck. How we gonna do that? Well, number one, we gonna do this. Before we even move out of the house, we gonna try to build up a fund with 3 to 6 months of living expenses in it. If I was still living with my parents thinking about going out and buying an apartment, I'm gonna search the apartment ads, see where I most likely would like to live, see what that rent is going to be for a 1-bedroom apartment. If it's just me, if I need 2 bedrooms, I'm going to look at that. How much is a 2-bedroom apartment? What's the monthly expense on that? Okay. What's my utilities going to be on that? What's my gas and electric going to be on that? What's my garbage disposal expense going to be on that? You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to ask them the question, once I move in that apartment, how often are you going to raise the rent on me? Because you know what they do, as soon as you move in, after you've been in a year, they usually going to jack that rent up, particularly in the financial economy that we living in now, where interest rates are high. You know what I'm saying? Interest rates are sky high. We're living in an inflationary period where inflation has gone through the roof, but yet people's paychecks haven't gone through the roof. How are we going to handle that? Well, we're going to try as best we can to try to put away as much as we can before we even step out and go independent. You say, well, Winston, that's great, but I've already been out here for years now, and I'm having trouble in my situation. Well, there's only a couple of things that you can do. You can either look at all your expenses and see where you can scale back and make some cuts, or you can try to go out and make more income, take on a second job, get you a side hustle to make more money. There's only a few things you can do. It ain't a multiplicity of things, many things that you can do in a situation like that. We all hurting right now. Maybe the 1% at the top that is controlling all this ain't hurting, but the rest of us, middle class and below, we all taking a hit right now. Because when you go into the market and what you could buy for, $10 now is $20. The loaf of bread you could have bought, for a couple of dollars, maybe, $5 now. That milk you could have bought, maybe, $7, $8 now. That everything's gone up. Your gas is gone up. And so everything is going up because of inflation, so we got to take that into consideration. What do you do on the investment side, Winston? How do you handle investing? Well, I'm pretty simplistic on my investing because I'm not one that stands for a lot of risk. When interest rates are high, they say stocks will die. You know what I'm saying? When interest rates are low, they say stocks will grow. So where are interest rates today? Interest rates are high. So usually in a high interest rate environment, I'm not purchasing a lot of stocks. I may be in bonds, depending, whatever the safe investment in. I may have cash in the bank sitting on the sideline because I know eventually this interest rate bubble is going to bust. This real estate bubble is going to bust. You know who's in the driver's seat right now in the real estate market? It's the sellers of houses. Whoever has a house and they're trying to sell it, they can put whatever price they want to on it because they know there's a feeding frenzy out there. People on the sidelines wanting to purchase a home, my God, but they got to pay so much more for the house today than when they had to pay a few years ago when interest rates were at 2%. Now you're talking about 7.25% on interest rates. That's how far this thing has come, from 2% to 7.25% interest rate. And I'm not telling you not to purchase a home right now, but just understand that you're going to have to pay more in this interest rate heavy environment. If you can take on that heavy interest rate, if you can make the payments, make the tax note and the insurance, if you can pay all that, you good to go. If you can ride this out until things change, because when things change and the interest rates come down, that's going to give you an opportunity to go and refinance to a lower interest rate, which is going to bring your payment down. You know what I'm saying? So, don't fear. My God, I believe in God, so I ain't fearing nothing. I ain't fearing the interest rates. I ain't fearing the Fed. I ain't fearing, global warming. I'm putting my trust in God because I know he's going to make everything all right. I think it's, what is that scripture? And we know all things shall work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. That's what I'm trusting on. I ain't trusting in me, my God. But we trying to get this financial albatross off our neck. How about the people that is drowning in student loan debt? I raise my hands. I've got 2 masters. I'm working on a PhD. So you can imagine the student loan debt that I have. But guess what? I'm trusting in God to bring me out of that student loan debt. I don't know how he's going to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I just believe he's going to do it. Now, what are you saying, Winston? How are you going to pay that off? I don't know. Obviously, I'm going to have to pay my payment, but I want to pay more than my payment. I want to eradicate that student loan debt as quickly as I possibly can. Again, I got to look at my expenses now. I may see what I have to cut, take that money from what I cut, throw that to the student loan debt. I was talking about my parents earlier. My father worked on a construction job, Louisville Builders, I believe it was, Louisville Brick and Block out in St. Matthews. He worked there for many years, but eventually they closed the business and he lost his job. Now, while he was in the business, every year he would be laid off during the winter and would have to apply for unemployment. So when they closed the business, there was no income coming in. He eventually started his own business with a partner and went out and started cleaning up different businesses, banks and whatnot. He was cleaning up the University of Louisville at some point in time and really started to build his business. So he was always looking for better opportunities to improve his income. Sometimes we got to do that too. In addition to what we have on the day shift, we might have to look at the night shift. We may have to look at something else, that we can do to bring in more income. I'm not here to tell you how you're going to do it. I'm just here to tell you that it is possible. Don't give up hope. Don't let your finances put you in oppression and depression where you can't come out. Don't allow it to put you in a dark corner. Just believe God, trust in God. God will give you the blueprint as to how to come out. You know what I'm saying? It ain't impossible. People do it every day. My God, we may have to work overtime and undertime and do whatever we got to do. We got to put more on the house, more on the student loan. You said the baby's got to eat. Well, that's got to come first. Your food, clothing, and shelter's got to come before that student loan. You know what I'm saying? We got to put the money where our mouth is. We got to eat. We got to be able to eat first. And then everything else comes. You know what I'm saying? Well, I say this, let me asterisk. One of the things I do, one of the things me and my wife do is we pay our tithes first. because we believe that God will bless us as long as we give him back what is due him. It's all his in the first place. None of this is mine. Remember, we're all sitting in a rented seat, and then we will die. Then someone else is going to take on the debt, or someone else is going to take on what you left behind. So don't get so caught up in this world's goods, because you know this world is always marketing to us. You know what I'm saying? People's jobs is dependent on it. Don't get me wrong. It keeps the GDP going, the gross national product going when we buy stuff. So don't get me wrong. But you got to have some type of discipline in what you buy and when you buy it. You can't leave it up to the marketers to persuade you to buy. It's got to be up to you whether I'm going to get the next iPhone. I don't even know what iPhone we own right now. I think I got maybe a 6 or 8 or something like that, but constantly being marketed for the next iPhone or the next this or the next that. I got to put the brakes on this thing. I got to stop digging the hole, they say. Once you in a hole of financial crucifixion, so to speak, stop digging the hole. Stop digging. Stop buying stuff. We live in a nation of consumption. We're constantly consuming, keeping up with the Joneses. I got to sell my house because I want a bigger house. My income increase. Usually my bills increase with my income. Pump the brakes on that. Let's stop, take a look, take a listen. Let's see where we at in this life, man. Because if you're a family and you have kids, not only do you have you and your wife to think about, but now you got to think about those kids, what their future is going to look like. You know, what kind of mattress we going to sit that they can bounce off of, you know, to start their life. Do I want to start putting away some money for their future? Do I may want to get a bond or something to put away a little bit money each month for them, to give them a start? You know what I'm saying? Some of this stuff that we buy, we might ought to look at who owns it to see whether the company is private or public, to see if it's something that we can invest in. I played basketball, so I know one of the most popular sneakers is Nike. So I look into Nike, see what the price of Nike shares is in stock. Now, am I a serious investor in stocks? No, because if I'm going to do some serious investing, it's going to be in what I would call a basket of stocks, which are called mutual funds. Therefore, all my money's not in one egg. I'm going to have me a whole carton of eggs that my money's in versus one, because if the one goes down, I got the other 11 or 12, holding the ship up. You know what I'm saying? Mutual funds. They got all kind of funds now. You know what I'm saying, that you can invest in. My God. So, and I choose to go Vanguard because I just think it's one of the most successful funds, and that's just what I like. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying it's the best. It certainly ain't the worst, but I like what John Bogle had did in starting the Vanguard fund. You know what I'm saying? So we're trying again to get this financial albatross off our neck. The way we're going to do it, we're going to think before we purchase. We're going to stop being impulsive about our purchases, because we already know that we got a house note to pay for. With that house note, we got taxes and insurance to pay for. We know we got to put food on the table. We know our electric bill is coming due. Our water, heat, and air is coming due. Our garbage disposal is coming due. So we got to set out money for all those things. In addition to that, how many times a week do you go eat out? How many times do you stop by McDonald's or stop by Starbucks? Or, we're constantly purchasing and buying. So I want you to think about your financial situation. And if you're in a marriage, or if you're in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship where you're sharing the economic status with each other, share with each other. Be able to sit down and talk calmly with each other without it being verbose, without you getting out of line and getting upset because of the bills and the situations. I'd be lying if I said there weren't sometimes when me and my wife have talked about bills, or when I seen a bill that I didn't know about where I didn't go off. You know what I'm saying? And I had to come back and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have acted like that. But we got to come together on these bills. We got to know what's out there. We're in a union. We on a team. We're in this together. It ain't just me. When I decided to marry you, we became a team. When you decide to marry me, my wife, man, had it going on before I even married her. She had a son, Leonte, before I even married her, before I even came into the picture. So she was already used to providing for her and her son. She would work at the bank, then work another job at night. She was pulling double shifts and triple shifts, whatever she had to do to pay for her apartment, to pay for a car, to put clothes on Leonte. So then when I came into her life, I thought she was just, my God, she was the peanut butter and jelly on my bread. I had to have her. My God, I like what one of my friends said, man, when I married her, my God, she was like that, that piece of bread. She was better than sliced bread. But now that I done been with her for 34 years, man, she's the whole loaf of bread. You know what I'm talking about? Everything that we done went through together, we done stayed together through the thick and thin. God has blessed us, I believe, because one, we pay our tithes. We're faithful tithes payers. And I know some of you are like, paying tithes? I can't pay my bills now. Well, if you give God at least his 10%, which is the minimum, which is the elementary level, you know what I'm saying? You will see how God will bless you, pressed down, shaking together, running over. I believe God, man. That's the bottom line. I believe God. Open up your Bible. See where it talks about tithes and offering, giving God his 10% minimum, and then giving him a tithe, first fruits on top of that. I believe that's why me and my family's been blessed through thick, through thin, through having a house, not having a house, having cars, having them repossessed. God has always come through for us. It's no goodness of myself. It ain't because I've been so good. I'm from the dirt earthy, from the dirt, man. I ain't no good, but it's just the blessings and the grace and the mercies of God. We ain't relying on money. We ain't depending upon money, but yet God gives us what we need. He gives us the money to pay off our debts, or gives us the strength to go to work. My wife's a hard-working young lady. She's out there getting it. She's making it happen. I'm retired at this point. Don't mean that I won't go back to work. I will. But at this point, I'm working on my PhD, trying to get that under wraps at Liberty University in my second year. Hopefully going to knock that out. I got 3 years of classes and then the dissertation. And I ain't even a writer. I ain't no researcher. I don't like doing none of that. But here I am. God's got me here for a reason. So I'm dependent on him to bring me through. So that's another student loan debt I'm going to have to pay after this degree is over. Well, Winston, why you keep going back getting all this education? Number one, I'm a lifelong learner. Not that I have to go to a university to be a lifelong learner. That's just what I am. I'm willing to pay that debt. You know what I'm saying? I'm X amount of years old. Maybe I will pay that debt off in total. Maybe I'll die before the debt come due. I don't know. But I'm trusting God. But I still have to be keen about the debt that I make. Yeah, I got to be keen about it. It's Robert Kiyosaki that talks about peanut butter and jelly items. Those items that either mean something or don't mean something. Now, he advocates real estate. He advocates going out, if you can, purchase your first home as an investment property, maybe putting a renter in it that's going to pay your mortgage and pay you some more money on top of that. And hopefully at the end of that thing, they have paid your mortgage off and you got a free and clear property where those rent payments all come to you now. That's the hope there. The other part of real estate is that when you buy a piece of real estate, as long as real estate continues to appreciate, that means goes up, then your money goes up. So you hold on to a piece of property and they say that, they ain't building no more land. Whatever land is here, it can't be built no more. It is what it is. So if you buy a piece of property, my God, and that property appreciates in value, goes up in value, you know what I'm saying? That's more money that you make because you can go and refinance the property, pull at least 80% of the value of that property out, put it in the bank, do whatever you want with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there's some benefits to real estate, just as there's some benefits to investing, whether that's stocks, bonds, mutual funds, NTFs, all that sort of stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's some people that are day trading, making it happen there. But I'm not such a risk taker. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be slow and steady that wins the day. I'm from the Warren Buffett philosophy. I want to build a moat around the castle, so to speak. I'm looking for those things that have a strategic advantage, like Coca-Cola and its formula for building Coke. My God, no one has that formula but Coke. A dividend paying stock that keeps on giving. You know what I'm saying? I like companies like that, and I like to get those companies ideally in a mutual fund, in a basket full of stocks. You know what I'm saying? Or, some of the other things that are lower priced. As I mentioned earlier, I like Vanguard. Fidelity is another one. So there's a lot of good funds out there, if you want to invest. And there's a lot of great resources on YouTube where you can look up investing. If you don't know much about it, educate yourself. That's one of the great things I love about YouTube. I can just pull up on YouTube, and Google owns YouTube, so I can pull them up, Google it, YouTube it, and start to educate myself on it. And I love financing. One of the things I used to do when my kids were younger, we'd go on a road trip or we'd go on vacation. I would slip a tape in. Back then we had tapes and CDs. So I slip a CD in on Buffettology. Yeah. Buffettology. That was a book by, I think it was Susan Buffett that wrote a book about Warren Buffett's philosophy. You say, who is Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett over the past many years has been one of the most successful investors in stocks. Yeah, he takes a contrarian approach with stocks. He had a mentor called Ben Graham who taught him how to buy stocks and how to buy them undervalued. You women will understand this. You women who like to shop, that shop on sale, will understand the importance of buying low. You know what I'm saying? Catching that dress or that pocketbook on sale. My God, and versus buying it at the height of its price, you wait to a certain season when you know that thing is going to come on sale. There's been others that will buy things out of season. You know what I'm saying? If the hot season for an item is winter, I may want to buy that in the summer and stock up on it. You know what I'm saying? If I know Christmas is coming in December and I can get the item in July at a lesser price, it takes some foresight, it takes some knowledge, but I may want to grab that thing in July because I know it's going to be cheaper. And once Christmas roll around, while there's going to be some sales, the closer you get to Christmas, the more they're going to put a higher value on that thing. You know what I'm saying? So these are things we got to think about. Yeah, we got to think about financial peace. I like what Dave Ramsey said, financial peace. My God, I'm talking about getting this financial albatross off our neck where we can live with some freedom. Oh, it's good to be free. Where you're not tied down, you're not lassoed, to your bills because your bills are so overwhelming. You strapped. You can't even walk to the park. You can't go get you a White Castle burger and a Big Red. Why? Because you so strapped. Well, we got to break out of that. Winston, how am I going to do it? Well, you got to take a look and see, is there some cuts that need to be made? Look and see what you spending your purchases on. My God, I always like to go back to my own family, my own daughter. She eats out a lot, man, and she's wondering, apartment done gone up. My God, look at your finances. Where are you spending the money? One of the things I do and used to do quite frequently is write down every purchase I made. Well, I know now we live in a credit card society, so all those purchases are on our credit card statement, which is usually online, so we can see, where's the money going. A lot of times we spending money and we don't know where it's going. We done ate out 3 times this week. If you eat out today and you got a family, every time you go eat out, it's going to be $60 to $100. If you got 2, 3 kids and whatnot, what used to may have cost you $30 is going to cost you $60 to $90 now every time you go out. I'm not advocating not going out, because you got to have some peace in your life. You got to have some fantasies in your life. What is a fantasy? A fantasy is doing something opposite of what you have to do during the week. So let's say you working 40 hours a week. Well, on the weekend, you need a fantasy. You need to be able to go to a movie, go out, get you a burger, something to do something different. Let your hair down a little bit. Enjoy life a little bit. That's what I call my fantasy. So let's get this financial albatross off our neck. The way we're going to do it, we're going to look at what are we spending our money on? And what can I cut that I don't necessarily need? You know what I'm saying? And then I'm going to make sure I've got at least 3 to 6 months of savings before I launch out on my own. You know what I'm saying? So that I've got an umbrella. I got an umbrella over my head. So when it starts storming and raining, I'm covered. You know what I'm saying? At least as best as I can. Nobody can see COVID coming, but we got to do the best that we can. You know what I'm saying? So there you go, man. That's it for today. We'll add more as we go along. But the first step is let's take a look at what we have now. What are we spending our money on? Make cuts where we can. Where we got extra money, let's put it in the bank because we don't know what this next couple of years is going to come, what it's going to be like in our economy. All right. So you guys have a blessed day. It's been Winston Bennett. Peace.